now. It used to be David Rockefeller, but he's faded off. He's not there this year. With a bunch of British and Dutch royalty and Saudis and you name it. Chinese have been kicked out of him for about 4 years, showing that big split is real. And they are outside the hotel where the Bilderberg Group is going to be meeting this year. They've been able to get inside and get footage, but they always try to push people out, so we're going to be talking to them in a moment. But before we go to Dresden, Germany, Tim Kennedy was #2 middle heavyweight, narrowly lost, hasn't fought in a year or two because he doesn't like some of the UFC deals where they don't even let you have sponsorship now. Can't have names on your trunks. Can't even pay yourself, basically. It's a joke. I mean, I thought that boxing, had some, and I know Dana White. I've met him. I'm friends with Joe Rogan. I've been out to fights in Vegas. I mean, but at the same time, I'm not really a big UFC fan because I'm not into sports, and seeing guys beat the hell out of each other, I admire them. It's interesting. I'm all for contact sports. It's just that I'm so into the Second Amendment and other political issues, I don't have time to focus on it. But I have followed Tim Kennedy because he's lived in Austin many years. He's been friends with my high school buddy Shane Steiner for many years, who folks know. And they're an old famous rodeo family and Texas family, and our families go back some. Strange, even though when I met him in high school, when I moved down here, I didn't know my grandfather knew his grandfather and great-grandfather, Buck Steiner, but it's a small world. And then my dad had family that actually ran whiskey with him during Prohibition and stuff like that out of Houston. Al Capone was even involved. You can't look up Buck Steiner and Al Capone if you think I'm kidding. But they're great folks is what I'm saying, pure Americana. And I was like, yeah, Tim Kennedy. So I started having dinner a few times, hanging out with him. They'd come by the office. We'd go over to the gym, watch him work out. Anthony started working out with him a little bit. These guys work out all over town for like twice a day, 3 hours a day, and then go out and shoot and do all the rest of it. And then I talked to some of my Army buddies and people I know that are retired or been in Special Forces, and they said, well, Tim Kennedy's like been in more combat probably than even somebody like the legend Chris Kyle. And then I didn't know those guys had been friends years in Iraq where the Army and the Marines worked with each other in Overwatch and Underwatch, nighttime watch, daytime watch, all this other stuff. And that they'd, actually been in, contact a lot. But the thing is, the Army doesn't let the Navy SEAL group do what they do. They don't write books about it. They don't talk about it. They don't do it. Because the Army's obviously contingent with Special Forces, probably has, 10 times what the Navy does? But from folks that know, Tim Kennedy won't brag on himself. This guy, when it comes to being a sniper, right there with Chris Kyle, but only a legend in the Army. And when it comes to just all the things he's done, it's amazing. There's not just sniping, but commando raids, taking out top terrorists, you name it, he's been there. And the interesting part is, he's been a listener for years, but his grandmother and family were into the New World Order and fighting it. They're farmers from California. They've been attacked by having their water supply turned off. And now they try to train the military for gun confiscation and taking over capitals and checkpoints and martial law and all the rest of it. So that's really woken the military up. And Kennedy's not telling me any of this. I already know all this. It's public. But he said, yeah, folks are awake. Yes, it's true. But I have all my other sources. I mean, I had colonels on and like Schaefer and others 4 days after Benghazi saying it was an order stand down by Hillary to ship missiles into Syria and start the next wave, and the next is Europe. That's all been declassified now. Judicial Watch came out a year ago with the headline, let me give it to you. Secret Pentagon report reveals U.S. created ISIS as a tool to overthrow Syria's President Assad, close quote. And it was Tim Kennedy and people who were there saying, we're not going to be part of this. So this is a big deal. And I'm just excited that Tim Kennedy's going to be doing a lot of production with us. He's going to be, but everything from organic farming to Amish and milk and to weightlifting to shooting to just the philosophy of a true patriot, dangerous patriot. Bringing back men, bringing back families, bringing back women, bringing back Americana, bringing back real preparation with somebody that didn't tell me this, but I know it and looked it up. It's true. Is run the presidential security details. Delta Force assigned to Tim. Might get mad, but I already know this from other people. The point is, it's great to have somebody like this working with InfoWars because he's a total patriot. And we've got a 4-minute video where he talks about the Second Amendment. We're going to be airing towards the end of the 3rd hour today, but there's going to be lots of this. And then, of course, as he goes in, coming up soon for the championship and the rest of it, I'm not going to get into that. it's going to be a big deal for InfoWars and the fight against tyranny. And the military and good parts of our government are so angry at the globalists and Obama and this attempted takeover of the country and the missile secrets of the Chinese and the rest of it, that Tim Kennedy's his own man and does what he wants to do. Has a lot of courage to be doing this, but there's a lot of folks nodding their heads to him, and I'm just going to leave it at that. So this is a real defense of this republic. And so I would expect people like Tim Kennedy to want to work with InfoWars at a critical juncture like this in history. Now, this promo video we're about to promote and premiere is going to go up on Infowars.com the next 30 minutes or so. We're going to encode it and upload it and give it a great title. I don't know what to call it. It's so cool. It's only a minute long, and this is just one day of shooting they did on sniper training and on weightlifting and on search and rescue outside Austin, Texas. There's going to be a lot more of this integrated into what we do. Won't be shooting shows with me out there like Yosemite Sam. It'll be shooting shows and things with Tim Kennedy. And the craziest part, other really famous people want to be involved separately that just so happen to live here in Austin, Texas. So it's just, there's a lot of patriots just magically coming together. So let's go ahead and play this piece. Again, it's not really for radio, so I'm going to narrate some of it, but here it is. True Patriot, this is just the beginning. That's not a drone, that's a helicopter coming in. This video will be on Infowars.com the next hour. Hog hunting from helicopters, you got it. Infiltrating ISIS bases? Oh, shouldn't have said it. Oh, yeah, I heard a little birdie told me we might have InfoWars reporting from Syria.
If I was just going to, like, attach an idea to it, it's going to be dangerous freedom.
Start down your path to freedom now. Infowars.com/True Patriot. We're going to send that link out of that video out to everybody in the next hour, but this is such an exciting time. I look at Rob Dew, who we're about to go to, and Josh Owens, warriors for this republic and freedom worldwide. Tim Kennedy, Shane Steiner, and the editors of the video, and everybody that made it possible, like Buckley and everybody else. We're in a real fight here. We're not asking for you to admire us. We're saying join us. This is history. We're not going to just bow down to Hillary Clinton and George Soros, the New World Order. Our own military went to Obama, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, 4 years ago and said, we're not going to attack Syria with air power. In fact, we're taking al-Qaeda and ISIS out, and we're going to give the Russians the intel to do it. And Colonel Schaefer came on and said that meeting happened. And 3 years later, Cy Hirsch published it in New Yorker magazine and in the London Review of Books, exactly what we told you and broke here. The good people in the military came here to tell you they were trying to not be traitors and going up against the criminals that have hijacked this nation. You understand? I'm not bragging that we're at the center of the zeitgeist. I'm just telling you, when you see InfoWars, this is 110% attempt at giving you the bottom line truth, straight shooting you Texas style. And if I'm lying, I'm dying. The truth is, the only reason evil men and tyrants flourish is that good men and women do nothing, to quote Thomas Jefferson. Well, guess what? Good men are doing something. And it was a great point that Larry Nichols made. He's going to be popping in the fourth hour today. That Bill Clinton told him. The only thing he said Bill Clinton ever told him that was true. He said, great men aren't just made as great men. Great circumstances make great men. That's a paraphrase, but that's exactly what's happening. The New World Order thinks they're just going to move against everybody, just going to win, and we're all going to roll over. That's not what's happening. All right, now we go to outside Dresden, Germany. He'll give you the name of the hotel, the details. It's all up on Infowars.com. We have the list of the Bilderberg meetings, an article by Paul Watson. Paul is landing in Germany right now, but he has to drive several hours to get to him. He'll be there later this evening reporting. But Bilderberg 2016 to talk Trump, riots, migrants, and Brexit. These are the people that open the borders. This is their global plan. Literally, they're in there planning the end of Europe right now. And outside of that very hotel is Rob Dew. Rob, tell us exactly what's unfolded in the last 24 hours.
Thank you, Alex. This is Rob Dew reporting live from Dresden, Germany, right outside the Kempnitsky Hotel. It's also called the Grand Hotel Taschenberg Palais. You can see the name up on the back of the hotel. And this is where Bilderberg 2016 will be taking place. Starting tomorrow at noon, they're going to start kicking people out of this area. And Josh, if you could pan around and show people the security barrier that was erected today. This was not here yesterday. They started with the concrete pylons, and then they put wrought iron above them. And Alex, I want to make note, too, of this. Josh, keep it right there. Now, Alex, right here is a giant triangle, a pyramid, with a circle in the middle representing the eye, the all-seeing eye.
Wow.
This is the same thing that we saw last year at the Interalpen Hotel, a giant pyramid. So these people love symbology, and this is part of it here at the Taschenberg Palais Hotel, where Bilderberg 2016 is going to be taking place.
Obviously, you're going to file a report on that. That is sensational. We have another report from John Bound on the same subject yesterday. They are really throwing it in our face.
They really are. And it was funny, as we were setting up, a guy on a bike rode up to me and he goes, "Do you see the triangle and the circle in the middle?" I said, "Yeah, we saw it. As we walked outside, we saw the same thing." He goes, "Can you believe it? Can you believe it?" And then I said, "Hey, you want to be on the video?" He goes, No. And he rode off. But it's just, people know what's going on. We saw signs yesterday at the march for the Brigitte. People were, there were some Bilderberg signs out there. And so people are aware of it. I think there's going to be big protests. Now, here's the breaking news, Alex. This morning when we were walking through the hotel shooting video, I saw a group of people having a meeting. And I didn't make much note of it, but I did stop and shoot a little bit of it, and we filed that video. Turns out that was German military planning security with the hotel staff. So now German military is involved in the security apparatus here for Bilderberg 2016. I haven't seen anything about that in the news. So I believe
that means taxpayers are having to pay for the overthrow of their own country.
Exactly. And I think that's definitely because Angela Merkel is going to be here along with 5 of her ministers and the governor of Saxony. So they are gearing up to make this. But what's being said now, a group of 7 or more is going to be illegal. They will not have a group of 7 or more anywhere around here. And they have a very small area compared to what happened yesterday or last year, where it was 5 miles around the hotel. You've got just this little bitty area here that they've got cordoned off, and they got a little bit cordoned off in the back. But the big news is that I think the German military is now actively working with the governments and everybody else to provide security here. And I don't think that's ever been done. I had that confirmed by a source who actually thought they were police and went up to them and started talking to them, and they said, "No, we're German military."
Well, what's amazing is they've always, every 4th year, been in Virginia or other areas like Georgia on the East Coast. But Bilderberg has officially come out and said, yes, we're Dresden, Germany. They released this today. It's up on DrudgeReport.com. Bilderberg meetings, the official website. Now, again, just a decade ago, they didn't have an official website. They would say it didn't exist. We were insane. Now, a few years ago in England, they said, oh, the prime minister isn't going. Then here he comes, via helicopter. And then an accompanying motorcade of his security. This is going on. We're pointing out the secret meetings that are happening.
Yeah, they said the same thing with Angela Merkel. She's not on the official list. I checked it today, but everybody's been saying she's going to be here. So I definitely think she's going to be here, especially with the migrant crisis going on, and with the groundswell of people starting to get up and be pissed off because they're taxed too much. The standard of living is going down. They can't afford to have just a decent standard of living by working 2 or 3 jobs, and people are pissed off. And you're seeing that all around the world. It's not just here in Germany. It's all over the world. The people want to get out of the EU in England. And so
they were never allowed to even vote to be in it. They were never even allowed to vote to be in it.
And that was a plan fomented in Bilderberg. And I think it's funny. We did that spoof video of Hitler in the bunker planning Bilderberg with his military officers. And here we see military officers here planning the security. So it's weird how fiction becomes fact and art becomes life, and we didn't know that at the time. We just thought it'd be kind of funny to have, we're coming to Germany. Let's have Hitler planning Bilderberg.
Sure, because that's that spoof for folks that don't know. This has been going on for 10 years since that Bunker movie came out in German, and everybody takes it and cuts it for political issues. And then people said, oh, you're trying to demonize Germans as if they're the source of tyranny. No, we're saying Hitler's a dictatorial figure. Merkel's a dictatorial figure. We're paralleling that the EU was a Nazi project, and so was Bilderberg. That's a fact. That's indisputed, okay?
Exactly. And people were wearing shirts. They had signs yesterday of Merkel dressed up as a Nazi. So it's not far from the truth. But
the media claims they're all Nazis out that are protesting her. No, the truth is we couldn't find any of them.
Inverting reality.
Yeah, stay there. Rob Dew's our guest. We'll be back. Why is it so important that we expose the Bilderberg Group? Well, patriots 60 years ago started warning of plans for a global government. It was so mainstream that even Eisenhower